This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Agilent, a Fortune 500 company known for providing top-notch testing solutions to cannabis and hemp testing labs worldwide. Are you considering testing your cannabis in-house for potency? Agilent is giving away a free 1260 HPLC system for 1 year. If you're a cultivator, processor, or cannabis testing lab, you may qualify for this giveaway. By using Agilent's 1260 HPLC system for potency testing, you'll gain immediate access to all of your data, know when to harvest, and increase your sample throughput. Don't miss out on Agilent's 1260 HPLC system giveaway. Swing over to bit.ly.com/cannabis-contest to answer a few quick questions to enter to win. Again, that's bit.ly.com/cannabis-contest. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, April 14th, 2021, and you're tuned in to episode 1046 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We lead off the day with a very sad story as longtime marijuana activist Steve Fox passed away on Monday at the age of 53. Steve worked for the Denver-based company VS Strategies as managing partner and was a good friend of ours here at Marijuana Today. I knew Steve personally from the number of times we'd see each other at cannabis conferences over the years, and a lot of the regulars on Marijuana Today and Weed Wonks knew him really well. Steve was not one of those guys who likes to talk about himself all that much, and as such, not enough people in our industry know about him and all the amazing work he did over the years. Steve was instrumental in Colorado embracing legal adult use cannabis in 2014, and his contributions to the national effort to end the war on marijuana and the war on drugs are incalculable. The world lost a good person when Steve Fox passed away this week. There's a GoFundMe page that's being set up to help Steve's family that I would encourage you to visit and contribute if you can. You can find a link to that at our website at mjtodaydaily.com. On Monday, the White House announced that former New Jersey Attorney General Ann Milgram has been tapped to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. Milgram currently works as a lawyer in private practice, but one of her former positions was with the Department of Justice as a civil rights prosecutor, and she's long called for the overall reform of the criminal justice system. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of work the DEA gets itself involved with as more states legalize marijuana and decriminalize other drugs like psychedelics, all set against the still ongoing and very real opioid epidemic. One interesting note on this storyline is that Milgram has appeared as a guest on a number of podcasts, so if you'd like to find out more about how the next head of the DEA sees the world, that's a good place to start. In particular, she's guested often on the podcast Stay Tuned with Preet. Our final top story today swings us out to Illinois, where the state's Department of Revenue is reporting that legal adult use sales taxes in the first quarter of this year were more than the amount of sales taxes derived from the sale of alcohol. In all, for the first 3 months of the year, Illinois collected $86,537,000 from legal marijuana taxes and just $72,281,000 in booze tax. That is pretty remarkable, and I hope a sign of the future to come everywhere. Alcohol may be fine in moderation, but it really does some damage when abused. So you can pop over to Marijuana Moment for more here if you need it. Those are the top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Agilent, a Fortune 500 company known for providing top-notch testing solutions to cannabis and hemp testing labs worldwide. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Agilent is giving away a free 1260 HPLC system for 1 year. If you've been considering testing your cannabis in-house for potency, then you need to listen up. Swing over to bit.ly.com/cannabis-contest to enter for your chance to win. When you use Agilent's 1260 HPLC system, you get instant access to all the right data about your cannabis, which helps you narrow things down like exactly when you should harvest. That means you won't spend a minute more growing your flower than you need to, and that you'll harvest your crop at its peak. One more time, swing over to bit.ly.com/cannabis-contest to enter your company for a chance to win 1 free year's use of Agilent's 1260 HPLC system. Big thanks to everyone at Agilent for the support that helps us keep the news lights on. All right, time for the Blitz. Bloomberg government has an interesting piece up about some potential political shenanigans being pulled down in Mississippi over a ballot measure passed in November setting up a legal medical marijuana program. This is one of those stories best read in full, but in short, a regressive prohibitionist mayor has raised a legal challenge all the way to the state's Supreme Court over the legitimacy of the ballot measure's win, diving into a particular quirk in Mississippi over how it apportions its congressional districts. Again, best read in full for all the wonky details. The Mississippi Supreme Court will hear arguments over this issue today, so it's likely we'll be picking back up on this as things resolve. The New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission held its first meeting on Monday, with its 5 members picking a new logo and selecting a vice chair from among themselves. Right now, the new commission will be led by Chair Diana Hunau, with Sam Delgado as vice chair. The 5 members have a lot of work to do to get New Jersey's new adult use system up and running, so I'm guessing this is another storyline we'll be bouncing around to a lot in the future. Colorado-based company urban-gro just issued some preliminary and unaudited numbers for its first fiscal quarter of the year, with between $11.8 and $12.1 million in revenue expected, up from $4.3 million in the same quarter last year and $9.2 million just in the previous quarter. That rolls out to a net loss of right around $0, give or take, an improvement over the $1.4 million in net losses in Q1 of 2020. urban-gro expects its adjusted EBITDA to land somewhere between $350,000 and $600,000, again better than the $900,000 loss seen last year. The Canadian marijuana company Aphria just issued its latest fiscal numbers for the third quarter ending February 28th, with a gigantic net loss reported. The company pulled in $122 million US in revenue for the quarter, up 6.4% sequentially, but was hammered with a net loss of $288 million, with the blame for the precipitous fall landing on the coronavirus and falling retail prices. One good thing to note on this, as Deborah Borchardt over Green Market Report reminds us, is that Aphria announced in December that it was merging with fellow Canadian cannabis company Tilray, with the two companies to soon fall under the single brand of Tilray. Another Canadian company is up next with another set of financials. This time we have Organigram Holdings reporting its second fiscal quarter for the period ending February 28th. In all, the company pulled in $19.3 million in gross revenue, $14.6 in net, which rolled out to an adjusted EBITDA loss of $8.6 million and a total net loss of $66.3 million, which is way up over the $6.8 million net loss Organigram saw in the same quarter last year. New Cannabis Ventures has more numbers and details here if you need them. According to new numbers just released out of Colorado, total legal marijuana sales in that state ticked in at $167 million in February, down from $187 million in the previous month, though the 2-month total is still $80 million more than the same period last year. Our final dip into the news day winds us down in Minnesota, where a proposed bill to legalize adult-use marijuana was advanced out of the House Environment and Natural Resources Finance and Policy Committee on an 11-7 vote on Monday, sending it to the House Judiciary Finance and Civil Law Committee today. The bill right now has been approved by 5 House committees, and if it keeps on moving along legislatively, could land before the full House for a vote next month. Marijuana Moment has more here if you have Minnesota on your news radar. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.